Look at this, man. That's the cord I was going to use to record the audio for my first ever YouTube video. Until I just so happened to step on it right before I was about to start recording. So yeah, we're not using that anymore. Instead, I will have to use a spare one. Anyway, since this is my first YouTube video, I guess I should talk a little bit about what this channel is about. Fact number one, I lied. This is not my first YouTube video. I did have a second, well, I guess a first channel before this, where I would post more edited content like essays and stuff about all sorts of different things. But that channel wasn't really going anywhere because it was really hard to make the videos. They were really high effort, the editing was high effort, but nobody was really watching them. So I figured, look, why bother? I mean, what I really want is to talk about the music, not spend like 4 hours a day doing these minuscule edits that nobody was noticing anyway, so I figured I should start this second channel and just see how it goes. So the first channel, no longer a thing, and also I'm not going to tell you what it was because, you know, it's a secret. Only I will ever know. But anyways, yeah, so my plan for this channel is I'm just going to review some albums, maybe react to some albums, I don't know, things could get a little crazy. And I'm doing it in the basement because I'm kind of a neat, so I don't have my own house. I'm just in my parents' basement right now. Also, if I go outside, they'll get me. And I might do the occasional edit just to prove that I still have the sauce, but it's going to be nothing crazy, alright? No high-effort editing is going to happen around here, I can promise you that. Because when you think about it, high-quality editing is kind of cucked, alright? Because listen, if your audience is mostly men, which my audience was, then what? You're putting in effort to give another man pleasure? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so, and one more announcement real quick. Since it's my very first YouTube video, I thought I should celebrate with some cake. Hopefully you can see that. I can't really tell. Now, it's not technically cake. It's some type of bread. Or look, I don't make the food around here, okay? I take what I'm given. If you point out that it's not cake, I'm deleting your comment. One more thing I want to say before One more thing. I'm not a music critic, so I don't know a lot of like history about different bands and albums and, you know, the influences and stuff that go into any particular album or the influence it had on the music industry afterwards, but I feel like that's not really what's important to me when I'm listening to music, because look, nobody's turning on a record and being like, ooh, wow, the influence is crazy on this. Look, for me, it's about the music, alright? So I'm just going to talk about the music. I'm not going to try to talk about the album's objective rating based on like how it did and the scene around it or something, none of that, alright? We're talking about how much I like the album, what I like about it, what I don't like, and if you disagree with me, then you're going to prison. Anyways, I figured I should start with an album that I really like to kind of get the channel off on a good note. So this is one of my favorite albums of all time, Songs of Leonard Cohen. That can be a thumbnail right there if I can get a good enough angle. Anyways, I'm going to talk about each individual song and what I like or don't like about it. In this case, there's not going to be much don't liking because this is my favorite album or one of my favorite albums of all time. But before I talk about all that, I'm just going to talk about the general sound of the album for a second. Basically, it's very acoustic, very stripped back. It's mostly just guitar and vocals from Leonard. Now, there's a few exceptions to this, where there are backup singers, or a few more instruments come in, or sometimes there will be very subtle things happening, kind of in the sides or panning back and forth. But mostly it's just very acoustic, very stripped back. Usually that's not my type of music, alright? If I hear songs come on, it's piano, and the girl starts singing, I'm turning it off, alright? No exceptions. But listen, this album makes it work for me, like a few other albums do, okay? Now, the reason for this, I think, is because the lyrics are so captivating. Usually I find when a song is a guitar ballad or a piano ballad and the lyrics end up being kind of shallow, trying to justify their own existence in most songs. But in this album, that's not the case because the lyrics are so great that they kind of captivate you, and then you kind of get drawn into the sound, even though it's so, even though it is so simple most of the time. And simplicity is not even a bad thing. Like, often the best melodies and the best songs are the simplest ones. Often, not always. Alright, song 1 out of 10, Suzanne, one of the best songs ever written, right off the bat. Alright, this is my favorite song on the album, probably my favorite song Leonard Cohen's ever made, top 10 favorite songs of all time. Quite a way to start the album. No other song on the album lives up to this, but some of them come really close. Now, my ranking system for songs and albums in general, look, I don't like rating stuff from 1 to 10, alright, because I'm not bald, and because I just don't think that's a good way to talk about music and art in general. Now, my system for ranking songs on albums is just going to be, if I think a song is perfect, like there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, fantastic, incredible, great, amazing, stupendous, awesome, epic, then it's going to get a gold star, alright? And unfortunately, because of budget concerns, I don't have an actual gold star, so I'm just going to hold up my hand like this, and I can probably edit a gold star onto it, or if that fails, I can just put like a PNG on screen. You're not going to see any high effort editing here, alright? Now, it goes without saying that Suzanne is going to get the gold star, but what makes this song so great? Let's start with the sound. So, it opens with the acoustic guitar strumming that's very soothing, but then Leonard's voice soon comes in. The lyrics on the song, we'll get to the lyrics, I'm getting ahead of myself. Around 30 seconds in, these harmonies come in, these backup singers. And let me tell you, when I first heard these backup singers come in, I'm pretty sure I floated off the ground a couple inches, okay? If you listen to the song for yourself, you'll see why. Speaking of which, I'm not going to play snippets of the albums in these videos. On my previous channel, I tried to play snippets of whatever music I was talking about. That was a mess because there was copyright and I had to look, we're not doing all that, okay? Preferably, you either will have listened to the album already, or if not, you'll listen to it before you watch this video. And trust me, if you haven't heard this album and you don't go listen to it right now, you're missing out, alright? Take my word for it. I know you don't know me, but I'm trustworthy, alright? Believe me. Anyways, back on track, the harmonies in this song are great. They go in and out during the chorus, but the lyrics are just fantastic as well. It starts being about this girl, Suzanne, but then Jesus comes into the mix, and it's kind of like they're different entities, but they kind of inspire the same feeling in the songwriter, is my interpretation of it. And it's very sad, but it's also kind of bittersweet, and it's even hopeful at times. It seems like it's tying these different elements of the universe together in a really, just kind of revelatory way. You're gonna have to listen to this one for yourself, alright? I can't put it into words. This is actually the song that inspired me to start writing my own songs, which you're never gonna hear, but they are out there, they exist, alright? Because it's just that good. Now, for any songs where I feel like there's one lyric that really stands out like above the rest, not that the rest of the lyrics are bad, but if there's one lyric that I think is like stupendous, then I'm gonna do like a lyrical highlight at the end of each song, and I want to do this for all the albums I review. So the lyrical highlight for the song, and it's not going to be on every song, just on some of them. So the lyrical highlight for this song is, she shows you where to look among the garbage and the flowers. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, alright? I'm just keeping it... Wow, I'm not used to talking without a script. I'm stumbling and fumbling all over my words. It's fine. We'll get over it together. All things must pass. Man, I can feel the weight from that cake coming out already. Hold on, I got an idea. Alright, that should cancel it out. Moving on. The second song is Master Song. The first thing you notice about the song, it's very long. It's like 6 minutes. Not that 6 minutes is like super long, but it is long. I sound like a moron. I need to think before I start speaking. Anyways, the song seems to be kind of about a love triangle, but it's very mysterious. There's the man, the woman, the master. Now, who is the master? Is it Dracula? I don't know. But for me, the key element of the song is kind of this feeling of helplessness that what is it called what is the person writing the song called when you're talking about like the song lyric, whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, the man feels helpless because the master has so much power over the woman, is what I get from it. And obviously, since it's so long, there's lots of other stuff in here as well. One of the verses near the end kind of reminds me of the book of Job, where it sounds like God talking to Job, the master being the devil. One more thing I wanted to mention about this album, but it's especially prevalent on this song because of the length, is some people criticize Leonard Cohen, saying his vocal performance is dry, like he's not putting a lot of emotion in when he sings most of the time. You could say he's not like doing too much vocally. He's not like trying to hit all these emotional notes. I feel like it actually works to his advantage in this case, because since these songs are so laid back and the power is in the lyrics and not the delivery, if he was to be singing these songs like he was an American Idol contestant with a sad backstory, it would actually take a lot of power out of the songs, because it would sound like he's trying to sell you something, basically. Or like he doesn't believe in what he's saying, so he's trying to do these fancy vocal stuff to make up for it. Not that fancy vocal stuff is bad, but just in this context, I feel like it wouldn't fit the songs at all. So I really actually like his sort of monotone performance, especially as the subject matter of the album goes back and forth between being light and dark, and his voice stays the same the whole time. It's very chilling. The lyrical highlight of the song is going to be, your love is some dust in an old man's cuff who is tapping his foot to a tune. Real. That's all I can say, is that's real. One more thing, I do have a Twitter account, I have an Album of the Year account, I have a Patreon account. Now, those accounts are all completely empty right now because this is a new channel, but look, it's like an investment, alright? You follow my Twitter, I might tweet something funny in like a week, alright? You don't know. You just gotta take a chance. Album of the Year, if you don't know, is just a website where you can catalog what albums you've listened to and rate what you thought about them and write reviews and stuff. Very fun. I figured why not start a Patreon, because, I mean, even if I'm the smallest channel, there's no possible disadvantage it could have, so subscribe to my Patreon. I'll probably let people vote on what albums I review or something like that. Anyways, the next song is Winter Lady. This song is the opposite of Master Song. It's very short. Being barely 2 minutes long, it's shorter than women's perception of guys who are 5'11". Every day I thank God that I'm just barely 6 feet tall. Lyrically, the song seems to kind of be about a girl who the singer knows is just passing through, but he still asks her to stay a little longer. So it's very sweet. Since it's so short, it doesn't do anything crazy like Suzanne or anything like that, or even Master Song, but I do still like it. It's very nice. I like the sort of warm piano that comes in the background during the second half of the song that contrasts the more cold sounding lyrics. This is completely off topic, but have you guys ever been to Buc-ee's? I went to Buc-ee's recently. It was peak, I can tell you that, alright? If you haven't been to Buc-ee's, you gotta go, alright? Maybe top 5 life experiences going to Buc-ee's. I mean, as a libertarian, I'm gonna love Buc-ee's because it's basically the peak of capitalism. It's like Walmart and Bass Pro Shops combined. What's not to love? If you've ever been to Buc-ee's, leave a comment about the Buc-ee's experience. TM, not sponsored. I actually bought a Buc-ee's themed blanket. I would bring it down here to show you, but this basement is so dusty. If I bring it down here, next time I'm going to bed, it's going to be like that Curse of Ra meme. Back to the album. The next song is Stranger Song, or The Stranger Song, I don't remember. This one's also quite long, almost as long as the Master Song. Now, for some reason, the sound of this album isn't that different from the sound of any of the other songs on this album, but it kind of reminds me, it always makes me think of a very specific image in my head. Let me describe it to you. Okay, so you're in a tavern. It's an old tavern. Well, let's say it's a tavern that's like outside of time, right? And you're sitting there with your buddies. You're talking about some damsel you're trying to woo, but she's just not interested in you. She doesn't know you exist. You're not really paying attention to whoever's singing on stage. And then that band finishes, they leave, and then this bard walks in, and his clothes are kind of shabby. He just has a guitar, nothing else. And he gets up on stage and starts playing a song. And at first you're not really paying attention, but then as he continues playing, you kind of start to listen more and more, and you're like, okay, this guy's kind of got the sauce. And the bard is Leonard Cohen playing this song. I don't know why I always imagine it, but I just feel like that is really what the song sounds like. If you listen to it, you'll know what I'm talking about, hopefully. Anyways, the song itself seems to be about this man who's romancing a woman, but over time she comes to realize that he doesn't really have any conviction. He's kind of weak. He won't even meet her at the time he says he'll meet her because he left the bridge to go back to the car because it was cold. That kind of thing. The theme of shelter is also very prominent in the song. Like, the woman in the song keeps giving all these guys shelter. And it's interesting because, you know, in like survival games and stuff, and in survival in real life, you always need food, water, and shelter. In this song, shelter being in the context of like love makes you think about whether love and romance is something you literally need to survive, like food and water. Now, is it? You can form your own opinions about that, alright? But I'm just saying it's an interesting parallel. I feel like the weakness that the stranger has in this song is all too prevalent today. I'm not to go on a rant about society like the Joker or something, but I just feel like there are so many people who don't really care about anything. Like, for example, people who look at their phones during a movie, alright? I know there's a lot of problems in the world, alright? There's murder, there's bad stuff, but for me, the thing that makes me the most angry is when I'm watching a movie, I look over at the person who's watching it with me, and they're looking at their phone, alright? It makes me want to pummel them. Why does this make me so mad? Basically, I feel like you're really not respecting the people who made the movie, who took a lot of time and money to make the movie, because you're basically just saying, okay, this part's kind of boring, I'm just going to look at my phone, it doesn't really matter. And I feel like when you're experiencing art, you should experience the entire art the way it was meant to be. I sound like David Lynch talking about people watching movies on their phones, which is also a take I agree with, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make about all this is that I just feel like most people these days, I just said these days, I'm just gonna, that ends the whole rant, alright? I can't say anything past that. I'm just gonna continue to the next song out of shame. Before I do that, the lyrical highlight from this song is gonna be, you hate to see another tired man lay down his hand like he was giving up the holy game of poker. The next song is Sisters of Mercy. Oh boy, what a song Sisters of Mercy is. This one's gonna be another gold star, I'll just say it right away. There's the gold star for you. This is the first song where we really get some more instrumentation and production coming in besides just Leonard and the guitar and the occasional backup singer. So it starts with just that, but then as the song kind of goes on, there's this sort of chorus of instruments that slowly fades in that kind of sounds like a mystical band of travelers playing all around you. It's like a little music box, there's like an accordion, and it pans back and forth between the left and the right ear as the song goes on. And it makes the song feel like really kind of magical and uplifting in a way that no other song does that I've heard. Because this is maybe the only song on the album that's completely uplifting in my opinion. Like, some of the other songs go back and forth, some of them are just sad, but this one is very hopeful in tone and in lyrics too. I mean, I can't really describe the lyrics using adjectives, but if you just read the lyrics, or actually just listen to the song, don't go read the lyrics, just listen to the song, you'll know what I mean. Another interesting little fact about this song is that it was actually written very quickly. Most of Leonard Cohen's songs, he took a really long time to write. He would spend hours just trying to perfect all these small details, and that's why most of his songs are so good. But for this one, he wrote it really quickly, made a few changes, and that was that. And the song was done. It was a masterpiece. So I just find that very interesting. And I saw a documentary where he performed a version of this live, but it had backup singers. And that version was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. And literally, I went later and I rented the documentary again just so I could so I could listen to it again. I don't think it's online anywhere, so, you know, you can't listen to it. Sorry, I'm the only one with the power. But I just thought it was worth noting that there's basically the album version and the documentary version, and they're both, like, masterpieces. Anyways, the next song is So Long Marianne. The thing you notice about this song right away is that the chorus happens so many times. The chorus literally comes in like 8 times throughout the song, but you really don't notice it because of the way the song is structured, where the chorus kind of comes in at the end of each verse, and the verse kind of transitions into the chorus, and it's not too long either, so it doesn't feel like it's dragging the song out, but it really is repeated a lot when you actually look at it from the outside. This song is interesting because he's basically saying goodbye to this girl Marianne that he used to know. Marianne was a real person, but I don't really know much about her. In this song, she's almost like a deity, which, I mean, she probably wasn't all that in real life, alright, let's be honest here. But that's what kind of adds to the power of the song, because she's like a mystical figure almost. So in the song, it's very sad because he's saying goodbye to this Marianne girl who it seems like he thought was like perfect, but for whatever reason, they're not together anymore. But it's also kind of freeing because, I mean, just the phrase "so long, Marianne," it's a little carefree, right? Like, you know, she's gone, but at least you can move on from this Marianne girl who probably wasn't even all that to begin with. The song has some extra production coming in as well, like there's these little sticks that come in, they're like bum ba da bum bum ba da bum bum, they kind of pan through either side, which are really cool. They add to the intensity in the second half of the song. There's backup singers on this one too. They do a great job. They kind of do almost like a counter melody that contrasts with his as it goes up and down, which goes without saying is fantastic. And yeah, this song is going to get another gold star. Here you go. This one does have a lyrical highlight, and it's going to be, "You left when I told you I was curious. I never said that I was brave." The next song, which is a great follow-up to "So Long, Marianne," is "Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye." This song is shorter, but it still gets the job done. Alright, keep that in mind. It's maybe the simplest song on the album lyrically, but it's also one of the most powerful, which just goes to show the value that simplicity can have sometimes. Like "So Long, Marianne," it's about the end of a relationship. The backup singers in this one do a really good job when they come in because they sound very happy and innocent and carefree, and the song sounds happy as well, but that all contrasts with the really sad delivery from Leonard and the lyrics in general, which are pretty down. And it makes for like a really bittersweet experience for the short time that it does go on. And it seems like the relationship was a long distance relationship, so you know, it was to be expected. Alright, it's kind of like an open relationship. Long distance relationships, they just never seem to work. Of course, as a communist, I have no problems with open relationships because everything belongs to everyone, right? That's how we're going to bring down the bourgeoisie eventually. That's beside the point. The lyrical highlight of the song is going to be "Your hair upon the pillow like a sleepy golden storm." That might be the best lyric on this entire album. I can't lie, hands down. Okay, forget about love and relationships, all that corny stuff. Time for stories of the street. Alright, this song is real serious, real manly, okay? I'm really not sure what it's about as a whole. It doesn't seem to have one coherent, put it in a box and tie a bow on it meaning. It's more about this kind of vibe of darkness and corruption throughout everything. And it's sort of like a lot of Leonard Cohen songs, it sort of combines the modern with the ancient in a way that's very chilling and kind of scary. Like, there are things walking around at night, invisible things that are powerful and old that we're not aware of. And there are things happening behind the scenes somehow, spiritually and physically, that nobody can even conceive of. Not to sound like a schizo, right? That's just the vibe this song gives me. The last line of the song is especially chilling. Now, production-wise, compared to the last few songs, there's nothing crazy going on here, but I do like the sort of intentional voice cracks that he deploys here as kind of a meaning of raising the emotion. This is one actually counterexample of his vocals being dry. This is a little bit more inflection, his delivery, in a way that's kind of interesting. It doesn't sound bad, but he's not overdoing it either. It just kind of makes it a little more interesting. It makes him sound desperate. The lyrical highlight for this song is going to be, "You were locked into your suffering and your pleasures are the seal." What's next? Oh yes, Teachers. Okay, next we get to Teachers, another great song here. This one's kind of short, it's kind of like a punch. It delivers everything quickly and then it's out of there, but it's very powerful in what it does. So the guitar playing, first of all, is insane on this one. It's like super fast. I don't really know much about the technicalities of how you play guitar, but I can tell this is a very good job of playing guitar, okay? Good job. Now, it starts being about a man looking for a teacher of the heart, and he's talking to these different people, and they're all denying him for different reasons, but it quickly morphs into something a little more sinister sounding, and it kind of weaves through this dark world that's filled with corruption, not too unlike our world today. And it really says everything it needs to in the short time that it's on. Production-wise, the song is very interesting because it kind of makes me feel like I'm going crazy, because I swear, sometimes when I'm listening to this song on certain speakers or just in certain areas, I feel like I can hear like these tiny little really quiet bongos that come in on the sides that go bump, 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 bump. And then sometimes I'm listening my hardest, I swear I cannot hear them. So if you hear the bongos, you might be ready to ascend to another plane of existence. Now the last song on the album, One of Us Cannot Be Wrong. Alright, this is a hell of a song. This song is actually deserving of me going through each verse individually, but before I do that, I'm just going to say the theme of the whole song real quick, which seems to be about the power that love can have. Now most songs about the power of love kind of have a happy tone, like something warm, but this song, I like to think it portrays love as something that is cold and dangerous, like a shadow in the night. I'm gonna be honest, the first verse, I really don't know what any of this means. In a concert once when he performed this live, he did say, "I was lighting candles in the form of men and women," so that seems to bring a little bit of light onto the meaning, but I'm still not 100% sure, right? The verse 2 is where it gets much more clear. So he goes to the doctor tells him, "This woman's too strong, you need to stop loving her, you're gonna go crazy," right? But then the doctor actually falls in love with her, and he falls so much in love with her, he sacrifices his entire career just to be locked in a library shelf with the details of their honeymoon. And that's what love does to you, right? What it does does to a MF. In each verse is just better than the last. So the third verse is about a saint who dedicated his whole life to the study of love. He says that the duty of lovers is to tarnish the golden rule, which is a great lyric, but the point is, the saint who is like a master of love, the singer of the song has come to him for teaching, saying, look, I need to know what to do about this girl. But just when he was sure that the saint really knows what he was talking about, he drowns himself. The saint drowns himself in the pool of the monastery. And literally after he dies, his body is gone, but back here on the lawn, his spirit continues to drool. So even the saint who dedicated his whole life to the study of love falls for this girl, commits suicide. No, I'm not going to say unalive. That's just the power that this girl has. And now in the very last verse, the fourth verse, he says, and Inuit showed me a movie he'd recently taken of you, and he's so cold his lips and his fingers are blue because the Inuit froze when the wind took this woman's clothes. It literally caused him to become so cold he just spent the rest of his life shivering. But the very last line of the song, the singer says, look, alright, you're cold, you've killed everybody else, but you stand there so nice in your blizzard of ice. Please let me come into the storm. So he's submitting to, alright, that's the power that's the power this girl has over him and over everyone else, because she's just built different, I guess. It kind of reminds me of that tweet that was like, I think it said something like, crazy how life without a crush feels meaningless, but life with one feels like being chased through the woods by a clown with a gun. That's basically this song condensed into a tweet, and also much less serious. Oh, and also production-wise, at the very end, he does this thing where he kind of is whistling. He starts whistling the melody of the song. Like through his fingers, he does one of these finger whistles. I can't whistle no matter how hard I try, but the point is he does it, but he also kind of adds in this weird audio of himself like screaming. And it sounds like he's going insane, and it doesn't even end, it just fades out as he's like screaming louder and louder the melody, which is incredibly haunting. Basically the perfect way to end the song and the album. Just another reminder, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it yourself now. Oh, okay, apparently O is a slur now. Shoot, my stocks are gonna go down. Look guys, that's what he says in the song. Alright, don't shoot the messenger. Now that we've talked about the entire album, my idea is, instead of rating albums from 1 to 10 or anything like that, I'm just going to come up with like one paragraph that describes the entire album. That's going to be the review I leave on Album of the Year. So I feel like just ranking it with a number from 1 to 10 is kind of reductive, so I'm not going to do all that. That's not really getting the context of when, like, because, you know, some music is better in some times depending on how you're feeling or who you're playing it to, or whether it's at a party or whether you're listening with headphones. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write a paragraph about each album. That'll be on my Album of the Year account, but I can say I definitely consider this album to be one of my favorites of all time. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. Follow my Twitter, follow my Album of the Year. I think you follow Album of the Year accounts, I'm not really sure. Subscribe to my Patreon, even though there's nothing on there, but you just gotta trust me. Alright, I'll put stuff on there. And I'm also gonna have one question of the day, or question of the week, or whatever, depending on how often these videos come out, I'm not really sure. That's gonna be at the end of the video, so answer that in the comments. And also, I'm also gonna have a meme of the week or the day just for fun. And so yeah, that's about it. Don't subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.